They say you never truly know someone until you live with them. I thought I knew everything about Marcus Chen, his perfectly organized bookshelf, his terrible singing in the shower, the way he always burned toast on Sundays. We had shared an apartment for 8 months. We split bills, swapped playlists, and lived in that comfortable space between strangers and friends. But I was wrong. Some secrets aren't meant to stay hidden. Some truths have a way of surfacing when you least expect them, turning your entire world upside down. This is the story of how I discovered who Marcus really was, and, in the process, who I could be when I finally stopped being afraid. My name is Alex Rivera, and this is how everything changed. The morning light filtered through our kitchen window like it always did, golden and warm, catching dust particles in its beam like tiny dancers frozen in time. I stood at the counter, waiting for the coffee maker to finish its familiar gurgling symphony. Watching Marcus from the corner of my eye, he prepared his breakfast with mathematical precision. 3 minutes for the oatmeal. Exactly 1 tablespoon of honey. 12 almonds. Never more. "You're staring again," Marcus said, without looking up, a smile playing at the corner of his lips. I felt heat creep up my neck. "I'm not staring. I'm observing. It's literally the definition of staring, Alex." He finally looked at me, his dark eyes crinkling with amusement. His black hair was still damp from his shower, falling across his forehead in a way that made my chest tighten. 8 months. 8 months of living with the most beautiful man I had ever seen, and I still hadn't gotten used to the way he made me feel like I was standing on the edge of something vast and terrifying. "Coffee's ready," I muttered, turning away before he could read too much in my expression. Marcus was straight, at least. That's what he told me during our second week as roommates. He'd mentioned his ex-girlfriend, Sarah. He talked about dates with women, casual hookups that meant nothing. I had carefully filed that information away, built a wall around my growing feelings, convinced myself that friendship was enough. It had to be enough. "Big day today?" Marcus asked, sliding onto the bar stool across from me. He was wearing that navy blue sweater, the one that somehow made his shoulders look broader. "Just the usual," I said. "Graphic design waits for no one." I took a sip of coffee, letting the bitterness ground me. "You?" I asked. "Library inventory. I'll be buried in books all day." He worked as a librarian at the city's main branch, a job that fit him perfectly. Marcus had a quiet intensity about him. When he focused on something or someone, it felt like the rest of the world disappeared. I'd been on the receiving end of that focus exactly 3 times. Once, when I had the flu and he stayed up all night making sure my fever didn't spike. Once, when I lost a major client and spiraled into self-doubt. And once, just once, when we'd both been drunk after a friend's wedding, sitting on our couch at 3 in the morning, and he looked at me like he was trying to solve a puzzle he couldn't quite understand. That moment haunted me. Earth 2. "Alex." Marcus waved a hand in front of my face. "You okay? You've been spacing out lately?" I said quickly. "Just tired. Didn't sleep well." It was a lie. I had slept fine. I just couldn't tell him that I'd been awake at 2 in the morning, listening to him move around in his room, wondering what he was doing, imagining things I had no right to imagine. Marcus studied me for a moment, then nodded. "You should take it easy this weekend," he said. "Maybe we could watch that documentary you wanted to see. The one about the Stonewall riots." My heart did a stupid, hopeful flip. "You'd want to watch that?" I asked. "Of course," he replied. "Why wouldn't I?" He said it so simply, like it was obvious. Like he hadn't just suggested spending hours learning about queer history when he could be doing anything else. That was the thing about Marcus. He was kind. Not for attention. Not for praise. Just genuinely kind. He remembered small details. Asked follow-up questions. Made space for me in ways no one ever had before. It would have been so much easier if I could just not like him. "Yeah," said softly. "That sounds good." The week passed in a blur of deadlines and routine. broken only by moments of sudden awareness whenever Marcus was nearby. I told myself I was fine, that I had everything under control. I didn't. Friday evening proved that. I came home early, escaping a painfully long video call, and found the apartment empty. Marcus's door was slightly open. That was unusual. He was always careful about closing it. I should have respected his privacy. I should have gone straight to my room, but I didn't. The late afternoon sun poured through his window, lighting up a space I rarely saw. His room was exactly what I expected: neat, organized, with a color-coded bookshelf that made my chaotic soul ache with envy. But what caught my attention was the notebook on his desk, open, unprotected, vulnerable. And in that moment, everything began to change. I knew I shouldn't look. Every moral fiber in my body screamed at me to turn around, to leave, to respect the boundary between us. But my feet carried me forward anyway. The handwriting was Marcus's, precise and beautiful, the kind of penmanship they don't teach anymore. This wasn't a to-do list. It wasn't work notes. It was a journal entry, dated 3 days ago. I can't keep doing this. Every morning, I wake up and tell myself today will be different, that I'll finally find a way to move out or create distance, or do anything to stop feeling like I'm slowly drowning in my own apartment. Alex smiled at me today over coffee, that soft, unconscious smile he doesn't even realize he does, and I wanted to reach across the counter and know, I can't write that. Can't even think it. He deserves better than being the object of some confused guy's crisis. He deserves someone who isn't terrified of what it means to want another man, someone who didn't spend 28 years building a life around being straight, around fitting in, around never questioning the script, but God, the way he looks at me sometimes. Like I matter. Like I'm more than just the sum of my careful choices and constructed normalcy. Does he know? Can he tell that I'm barely holding it together? Sarah called again. She wants to get back together. It would be so easy to say yes. To slip back into that comfortable lie. To stop feeling like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff every single day, but I can't stop thinking about his hands. The entry ended their mid-dash sentence, as if Marcus had been interrupted, or couldn't bring himself to finish the thought. I stood frozen, the notebook trembling in my hands, my heart pounding so loudly I could hear it in my ears. The words blurred, rearranging everything I thought I knew. Marcus wasn't. Straight Marcus wanted me. Marcus was terrified. The apartment door clicked open. Panic flooded my system. I placed the notebook back exactly where I'd found it, rushed out of his room, and barely made it to my own door before I heard his footsteps in the hallway. Alex, you home? I pressed my back against the door, breathing hard, my mind racing. Yeah, I called out, surprised that my voice didn't shake. Just got back. Gonna take a shower? Cool, he said. I picked up Thai food. Your usual. Of course he did. Of course he remembered the special requests. The extra spring rolls I could never resist. Perfect, I replied. Be out in a few. I slid down onto the floor, my legs suddenly unable to hold me. The journal replayed in my mind, every word a revelation. Every sentence a key turning in a lock I didn't know existed. He wants me. He's scared. He's been suffering in silence, just like I have. The urge to run out there and confess everything was overwhelming, to admit I'd read his private thoughts. To tell him I felt the same. But something stopped me. Maybe it was respect. Maybe it was fear. Or maybe I was just as terrified as he was. Dinner was torture. We sat at our small thrift store, table the one we'd bought in our second week as roommates, now covered in takeout boxes and unspoken. Tension everything Marcus did felt. Different now, the way he held his chopsticks, the sound of his breathing, the brief brush of his knee against mine under the table, and how quickly he pulled away. Had he always been this careful? Had I been too blind to see it? You're quiet tonight, Marcus said, studying me with that intense focus that used to make me nervous, and now made my chest ache. Just thinking about a project, I lied. The lies were piling up. His lies about who he was. Mine about what I'd seen. Both of us trapped in a careful, fragile dance. The brewery branding? He asked. I blinked. I'd mentioned that once. Over a week ago? Yeah, I said. How did I listen when you talk, Alex? He said it simply. Like it was obvious, but there was something else in his eyes. Vulnerability, eh? Question he didn't dare ask. Does he know that I know? No. That was impossible. And yet, the air between us felt charged, electric. Every nerve in my body alive. I listened to you too, I said quietly. His chopsticks paused. I know you do, he replied. Then he stopped, set them down, and ran a hand through his hair. That's one of the things I really appreciate about you, he admitted. About living here? You make it easy to just be. The irony burned in my throat. He didn't feel free to be himself at all. Neither did I. We were both hiding behind walls built from fear. Marcus, I began. Not even sure what I wanted to say. My phone rang. The moment shattered. My mother's photo flashed on the screen. I sighed. Sorry, I should take this. She won't stop calling. Of course, he said, forcing a smile. I'll clean up. I escaped to my room, answering with a distracted hello, while my thoughts stayed in the kitchen with him. Asterisk. My mom launched into her usual questions. Was I eating enough? Working too hard? Meeting anyone special? That last one always made me tense. I'd come out 5 years ago. They were supportive, but she never quite stopped hoping I'd change. No, Mom, I'm not seeing anyone, I said, staring at my reflection in the dark window. I barely recognized myself. It felt like the person I'd been that morning no longer existed. You're too picky, Ojo, she teased. You always have been. I'm not picky, I replied softly. I just know what I want. And for the first time, I truly meant it. It was a declaration to her. To myself, what I wanted was in the kitchen, carefully rinsing out takeout containers, probably replaying every moment of the evening in his head just like I was. What I wanted was terrified of wanting me back. What I wanted was complicated, messy, uncertain, and undeniably real. After I ended the call, I sat on my bed for a long time, staring at the wall that separated my room from Marcus's, wondering if he was lying in his own bed, staring at his ceiling, thinking about me, trapped in the same exhausting spiral of hope and fear, the universe. I decided, had a cruel sense of humor. The weekend arrived heavy with unspoken things. Saturday morning, I woke to find Marcus already gone. A note sat on the kitchen counter. Written in his precise handwriting, got called in for emergency inventory. Don't wait up. The apartment felt too big without him, too quiet, too full of possibilities I didn't know how to navigate. I tried to work on client projects, but my attention kept drifting to his closed bedroom door, to the journal I had violated, to the words that had rewritten my understanding of everything. I wanted to reach across the counter, and what had he wanted to do? Kiss me? Touch me? Tell me the truth he'd been swallowing every single day. By evening, I'd made a decision. I couldn't keep this secret, couldn't pretend I didn't. No, couldn't watch him suffer in silence while we both stayed. Trapped, it was reckless, terrifying probably, stupid. But I was tired of being careful. Tired of protecting myself from disappointment. I heard his key in. The lock around 8. My heart went into overdrive. Adrenaline surged through me like I was preparing for battle instead of a conversation. Hey, Marcus said softly. Dropping his bag by the door, he looked exhausted. His hair was messy. His sweater wrinkled. He had never looked more beautiful. Sorry I was gone all day, he said. The new intern misfiled an entire section, and then he stopped, really looked at me. What's wrong? We need to talk. For simple words, for words that could destroy everything, or save us. His face went carefully blank the way it always did when he braced for impact. Okay, we sat on the couch, the same couch where we'd watched movies, where I'd fallen asleep during a Marvel marathon, where I'd woken up covered in his favorite blanket. Now, the space between us felt fragile and infinite. "I need to tell you something," I said, "and I need you to let me finish." He nodded, hands clasped in his lap. "Last Friday, I came home early. Your door was open. I saw your journal." His face drained of color, understanding, and horror spread across his features. I read it. I continued. "Not all of it. Just that one entry. I know I shouldn't have. It was wrong. It was a violation. And I'm so sorry." Alex's voice broke. He stood abruptly and walked to the window, turning his back to me. "You had no right." "I know." Those were private thoughts. Private fears. Things he had never meant to share. He pressed his forehead to the glass. "God, this is humiliating." "It doesn't have to be," I said quietly. I stood and approached him slowly, carefully. "Marcus, please look at me. I can't." "Why?" "Because if I do, I'll say things I can't take back. Things I'll ruin." He gestured between us. "What if I want you to say them?" The words barely left my mouth, but they landed like thunder. He turned slowly. His dark eyes were wide with hope and terror. "What?" "I've been in love with you since our 3rd month living together," I confessed. The truth poured out, maybe even before that. "You make terrible jokes. You alphabetize your spices. You remember everyone's birthday. You look at the world like it's still full of wonder, even when it isn't. I thought I was alone in this. I thought I was just the sad gay roommate in love with his straight best friend, but you're not straight, are you?" He swallowed hard. "I don't know what I am," he admitted. "I just know I've never felt this way before. Not with Sarah. Not with anyone. You're the first person who ever made me question everything." Air between us felt dangerous, electric-like. We were standing on the edge of a cliff, and what did you decide? I asked. "That I'm terrified," he whispered. "That I'm 28 and I don't know who I am. That wanting you feels like waking up after being asleep my whole life, and I don't know how to live in a world where this is possible." I stepped closer, slowly giving him every chance to pull away. He'd in up close. I saw the exhaustion in his face, the weight of carrying this alone. "You don't need all the answers," I said softly. "You don't need everything figured out. You just need to be honest. With me, with yourself." "I'm scared of losing you," he whispered. "If we try this, and it fails, I lose my best friend. I lose the person who makes me feel normal. I lose everything. And if we don't try," I replied, "we lose it anyway." I lifted my hand slowly and cupped his face. Warm, familiar, real. "I can't pretend anymore, Marcus. I can't unknow what I know." He leaned into my touch, closed his eyes. "Alex, kiss me," he whispered, "or tell me to stop. Just don't leave me in this limbo." For a moment, nothing happened. We stood suspended between past and future. Then he opened his eyes, and whatever he saw there made his choice for him. He kissed me. It wasn't perfect. Our noses bumped. Our teeth clicked. I thought he might pull away, but then he made a sound half gasp, half sobbed, and everything fell into place that his hand slid to my waist, pulled me closer, threaded my fingers through his hair finally. He tasted like mint tea. He kissed like someone discovering something precious, something he'd been searching for without knowing. When we finally pulled apart, breathless, he rested his forehead against mine. "I've never done this before," Marcus admitted softly. "I know," I smiled. "And I have some encouraging news about that." He raised an eyebrow. "What?" "You're already doing great," he laughed. A real, unguarded laugh that vibrated through his chest. "At any of this," he said quietly, "at being with a man, at being, I don't even know what to call it," Queer Eye offered gently. "If you want, or nothing at all. You don't need a label." He studied me. "How are you so calm about this?" "Oh, I'm not," I admitted. "I'm internally panicking." I pulled back so he could see my face. "But I've been where you are. That terrifying moment when you realize you're not who you thought you were. And you learn that the fear never really goes away, I continued. You just get brave enough to live alongside it. He traced slow circles on my hip with his thumb. What happens now? He asked now. I smiled. We take it slow. We figure it out together. No pressure. No expectations. Just us. I'd like that, he whispered. Then he kissed me again. Softer. Sweeter. God, Alex. I really like that. The next few weeks felt unreal, like we were living inside a fragile, glowing bubble. We didn't tell anyone at first. Marcus needed time to understand this new version of himself, and I was happy to give him that space. Our apartment became a sanctuary. A place without judgment, without expectations. Some nights we'd curl up on the couch, my head on his shoulder, hands intertwined, watching old movies. Other nights, we'd talk until 3 in the morning. Marcus shared stories from his childhood, searching for clues he might have missed. I had a crush on my college roommate, he confessed one night. Lying beside me in the dark, Josh, I told myself I just admired him. But you wanted to be with him, I said gently. Yeah, turned toward me. How did you know about yourself? I was 15, I said. There was this boy in my math class. Daniel Chen, he laughed. Same last name. He borrowed my pencil once, I continued. Our fingers touched, and I felt like I'd been electrocuted. I spent 2 years thinking I had the flu whenever he was around. That's adorable, Marcus said. That's gay panic. Pretty much. I rolled onto my side. It wasn't one moment. It was thousands of little ones. Pieces slowly clicking together. I still feel like I'm missing pieces, he admitted. Some days I'm sure. Other days I'm terrified I'm wrong. That's normal, I said. Coming out even to yourself isn't one moment. It's a process. Are you ever scared? He asked. Being out in the world? Sometimes, I admitted. But being closeted was worse. Living a lie is its own kind of death. He was quiet. Then he said I told my sister. Sat up. You did? Yesterday, he smiled. She said it's about time. You've been obvious about Alex since day one, apparently. My whole family knew before I did. Shut up, I laughed. He pulled me back into his arms. Not everything was easy. The first time we held hands in public, walking to the corner store, his palm went sweaty. His breathing quickened. We barely made it half a block. I'm sorry, he whispered, pulling away. It's okay, I said. We go at your pace. Another night, a college friend asked if he was seeing anyone. Marcus panicked. He invented a girl from a bookstore. I was in the next room. Hearing him erase me hurt more than I expected. We fought later, both crying. I'm not ashamed of you, he said desperately, holding my face. I'm ashamed of my fear. Then we work on it, I replied. Together. 2 months after our first kiss, Marcus suggested a weekend at the coast. Just us. Away from everything. I said yes immediately. We rented a small cabin overlooking the ocean. Arrived Friday evening. As the sky burned amber and rose, waves crashed below us. Wild and eternal. For the first time in weeks, Marcus relaxed. This is perfect, he murmured. Wrapping his arms around me on the deck. Thank you for being patient, he said. Thank you for being brave, I replied. That night, we sat on the beach, a bonfire between us, stars above. After a long silence, he spoke. I want to tell people, he said. My parents, my close friends. I don't want to hide you. My heart swelled. Are you sure? I'm terrified, he admitted, but I'm sure. He looked at me, firelight dancing across his face. You make me want to be brave, Alex. You make me want to live honestly. You already do, I whispered. You just didn't see it yet. He kissed me. Salt and fire and tenderness, waves crashing around us when we pulled apart. Tears shone on his cheeks. I love you, he whispered. I was scared to say it. I love you so much it terrifies me, I replied. I love you too, he said. And in that moment, I knew we were finally home. I have, he whispered. For so long, we stayed on the beach until the fire. faded into glowing embers, talking about the future, about coming out, about building a life that was honest, open, and ours. For the first time since this journey began, it felt like we were standing on solid ground the next morning. I woke to find Marcus already awake, propped on one elbow, watching me with so much tenderness that it stole my breath. "Morning," I mumbled, suddenly self-conscious about my messy hair and morning breath. "Morning," he smiled. Tracing a finger along my jaw, "I was thinking about how different my life is now," he said softly. "How different I am." Different how? Happier, freer. Like I've been carrying this huge weight for years, and I finally put it down. He hesitated. "Last night I called my parents. Sat up instantly." "You what?" "After you fell asleep, I couldn't wait." He took my hand. "I told them about you, about us, about who I am." My heart raced. "What did they say?" "My mom cried." He laughed softly. "Happy tears," she said. "My dad was quiet for a long time. Then he told me he loved me, that nothing would change." His smile trembled. "They want to meet you, not as my roommate. As my partner." Is the weight of that settled between us? Serious, real, permanent. "I'd like that," I said. "Whenever you're ready." "I'm ready for all of it," he replied. The messy, the complicated, the beautiful, all of it. 3 months later, I stood in Marcus's childhood, home, surrounded by framed memories, and the smell of his mother's dumplings, trying not to vibrate with nerves. His parents had insisted on hosting dinner, a proper introduction, his mom had said, to the man who helped our son find himself. Marcus squeezed my hand under the table, both of us in button-down shirts, both freshly shaved, both terrified. "So," Alex's father said kindly, "Marcus tells us you're a graphic designer." And just like that, the evening began. His mother made sure my plate was never empty. His father asked thoughtful questions, Grace. His younger sister, who had apparently known from the start, shared embarrassing stories. He lined up all his toys by height, even action figures. "That explains everything," I teased. Marcus blushed. "I was methodical." "You were adorable," his mom corrected. "And still are." Later in the kitchen, she pulled me aside. "Thank you," she whispered, "for really seeing my son. He's different now. Like he can breathe." "He did that himself," I said. She shook her head. "Love isn't just about space. It's about showing up, choosing someone every day. You do that for him." Those words stayed with me. On the drive home, Marcus held my hand. "That went well," he said. Wild understatement. "Your family is amazing," I replied. "Grace is hilarious. Your mom is a saint, and your dad's dry humor is legendary." He laughed. "He likes you. He called you our Alex. Our Alex." Something warm bloomed in my chest. The months that followed were built from small moments. Marcus came out slowly to friends, 2 co-workers. To our barista who'd tried to set him up for months, each time was an act of courage. He began attending LGBTQ+ events with me, poetry readings, pride meetings, support groups. At first, he listened quietly. Then one night, he spoke. "I spent years thinking I was broken," he said, gripping my hand, wondering why I couldn't feel what I was supposed to, but I wasn't broken. It was just looking in the wrong direction. People thanked him afterward, shared their stories. I watched him, realized he wasn't alone, and loved him even more. We had our first real fight 6 months in, over his college reunion. He'd planned to go alone. Said he wasn't ready. I'd said I understood. I didn't. Resentment built. It exploded. "Over dirty dishes, I'm not asking you to announce it to the world," I said. "But I'm not going to be your secret. It's not what this is," he argued. "I'm being careful or hiding." The word hung between us. We retreated to separate rooms. Old habits. That night, I lay awake, doubting myself. Had I pushed too hard? Around midnight, there was a knock. "Come in." Marcus looked exhausted. "I signed us up for the reunion," he said quietly. "Bought 2 tickets. Updated my status." Sat beside me. "I'm sorry." "You're right." I was hiding. Calling it protection, it was fear. "Marcus, let me finish." He took my hand. "You've been patient. You've given me space. You've loved me through every messy step. And I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose you."